I'm back. Hello guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. And it looks like we still can't figure out the commenting, so you can ask questions and tell me your name, but you can text Alyssa and Alyssa will ask me the question. So I might turn around quite a few times to see what Alyssa's questions are from you guys. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to speak with you. And I hope everybody is healthy, happy, staying safe, and trying to use this time. It's a really weird time right now, but just trying to use the time to get to know themselves better and, find other ways to communicate with people. We're all social distancing right now, and we're having virtual meetups with lots of friends so we can still stay connected. But welcome, I see a few more people joining me, yay! So like I just said, if you missed it, if you have a question that you want to ask, feel free to ask anything, but you'll have to text Alyssa, your fearless leader, and I'll turn around and take a look, and then she can tell me what your questions are, and I'd be happy to answer them. Also figured today I wanted to take you on a little baking tour of my home kitchen since I'm staying at home. Been social distancing like we all should be doing right now to stop spreading this coronavirus. But this is my kitchen, and I figured we'll bake some gluten-free blueberry muffins today. Why not? You guys into that? All right, but don't hesitate to send Alyssa your questions because I'd love to do that. I'd love to answer them. A little bit about me. My name is Chef Monica Glass. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am professionally a pastry chef, and I have worked in Philadelphia, in New York City. New York was Gotham Bar and Grill, which is where I got my start, and La Bernardin. And then also in Boston, I worked at Clio and Uni in the Elliott Hotel. And now at Philly, I was most recently the corporate pastry chef for a large catering company and food service management. And traveled all over the East Coast with them, Constellation Culinary Group. They were formerly owned by Steven Starr Restaurants. Let's see, computer shut down. Sorry, it does that sometimes, but that's the only way I can see Alyssa's comments. Let's see. All right, still nothing yet, but feel free to ask me questions. My background, I originally went to Penn State University. I did not originally think I was going to be a chef, but food finds you. And I went to Penn State to study film and video, and thought that I wanted to produce and direct movies. So that sounds like a very exciting career. But while I was there, I used to love to cook for my roommates in college, and I would bring brownies out to the bar and cook dinners. I remember for Halloween time around Halloween time, I would always have what I called Pumpkin Week, and I would make everything with pumpkin for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for my roommates. I think they got sick of me though. And so one of my friends actually dubbed me Chef Monty, so that's where my name came from, not because I'm a chef. I just realized that I loved food, and I worked in a restaurant as a server, and I just kept gravitating towards the kitchen and really wanted to learn how to cook better. So moved to New York City. And I didn't even do film and video. I switched to public relations, which means you can constantly evolve your career and switch what you're doing and change. We all grow and find new interests. But I moved to New York City to start my career in public relations and kept gravitating towards the food clients because I was very interested in our cookbook author that we did. Sorry, Alyssa just texted me that one of my huge pastry idols is watching me, and that's really amazing. Sherry Yard, I just wanted to say hi. Thank you. Sherry's book was really what I learned or what I read to learn all about pastry growing up. It was a self-study. So back to public relations, I kept gravitating towards our food clients and just kept asking if I can work for free. Can I work on this project? Can I meet this chef? And just kind of kept asking them questions and how they got started in it. And one of them, actually Maureen Petrosky, you may have seen her on, first question, what's my favorite thing to bake? Actually, it's not even baking. My favorite thing to make is ice cream because it's my favorite thing to eat. And I won't stock it in my freezer because I will eat it all. But that's my favorite thing to make. Let's see. If you guys want to tell Alyssa some of your favorite things to bake or make, I'd love to hear about that too. I know, sorry, I can't even see your comments. But let's see. Back to getting my start. Maureen Petrosky, she is a chef, she wrote a wine cookbook, and she convinced me that all I had to do was go into a restaurant that I really liked and wanted to learn from, choose a chef, and ask if I could work for free. So that's what I did. I went into Gotham Bar and Grill because I really admired Deborah Rassicot's work. She was a pastry chef there at the time, and asked her if I could work for free to learn from her. So I did, and that's how I got my start, and I've never looked back. I've loved it every day since, and I hope you guys love it too, and you're gonna have an interesting career path. But let's see. Any other questions, or should we just start some baking? So we're gonna make gluten-free blueberry muffins. Also, about 10 years ago, I just kept getting very sick and realized that it was the flour that I'm working with every day that was making me very sick, and I was diagnosed with celiac disease. So while I still do bake a lot of regular things, wedding cakes for people, desserts with flour, and I've also really taken it as a challenge to learn how to bake gluten-free things, and it's particularly gluten-free things that normal gluten-eating people would not even realize are gluten-free. So I figured we'll make some gluten-free blueberry muffins today. I also have, since we are self-quarantining and staying in my house, one of my friends is also staying with me so we could have some company. And I'm calling this Hotel Monica because I cook. She broke both of her feet, so that's why she's staying with me, and so I can help take care of her. And we have company together. We're going through this together. So I've been making her food, and she was craving blueberry muffins, so that's what I decided to do today. Let's see. My favorite cuisine from Gigi in Philly. Thank you. My favorite cuisine, let's see. I always crave Indian food and Thai Vietnamese food. Indian in Philly, I really like tiffin. For anyone else who lives in Philly and who likes Indian food. And then Thai food. Where do I usually order from Thai? I forget. I think I usually order from Rachata. But Vietnamese food, I love Pho 75, Viet Hung on 11th and Washington, and also Malaysian food. Satay Kampar is one of my favorites. But any type of Asian cuisine is also a huge favorite of mine. Let's see. Sound keeps. Oh. Sorry if the sound keeps going in and out. I'm trying to do my best. It might be my phone. I don't know. It might be the connection. All right, but who wants to start baking? So I'm going to kind of move my phone around so you can see what I did already. I measured out. I have my recipe. I don't know. Let's see if I can turn it around so you guys can all see it. Sorry, this is my first time doing this, but there's my recipe. So we're making the gluten-free blueberry muffins, and I pre-measured my gluten-free flour blend because I like to do that rather than use a store-bought blend. You can definitely use one like Bob's Red Mill or Cup for Cup. I just prefer to make my own. But okay, here's my mise. So as you all know, that is called your mise en place. So you get all your ingredients ready, make sure you don't forget everything, and just it streamlines the process. All right, let's see, there's the kitchen. So my mixing bowl, I'm gonna add my room temperature softened butter. Sorry, you probably can hear my dog in the background. I have a little 4-pound chihuahua. I'll show him to you later. So the butter, and we have sugar. And then I'm gonna get that on my KitchenAid and start creaming it. Let's see if I can turn it that way. I'll bring you a little closer. Why not? This is my kitchen. that working? There we go. So we're just gonna get it nice and creamy and fluffy. We'll mix it for a couple minutes. And then I'll bring you back when I add the eggs in. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me. Everyone's getting ready for culinary school. I know you guys weren't able to do the competition. I always really look forward to that. But we'll do it. We will. Gotta stay positive, and we will get through this together. All right, so now that my butter is nice and creamy, we'll add the eggs. Eggs and vanilla, one at a time. And then at this point, I'm gonna stop it, scrape down so we can get all the good bits in there. And make sure that all of our butter is creamed with the eggs and emulsifies properly. Then we'll start mixing it again. All right, I'm gonna scrape it down one more time. And then make sure we get all the bits at the bottom. All right, and now we're going to add the dry ingredients, which I already pre-mixed with, or alternating with our milk. Start with the dries. In the dries, I have white rice flour, brown rice flour, tapioca starch, corn starch, xanthan gum, and some dried milk powder. Just gonna mix that a little bit, then we add our milk. Add some more of the flour. Let's see. Clara, thank you for that question. Is it salted or unsalted butter? I used unsalted butter because I like to control the amount of salt in my recipes. So that way, if you use salted butter, you could end up adding too much salt. Now I'm adding the rest of the milk. Sorry, you can hear my dog. All right, and we're gonna add the rest of the dry, and look, it's turning more into a batter now. Oh, you know what I did forget to do? Because sometimes we make mistakes too. I forgot to toss the blueberries. So I have frozen blueberries. I forgot to toss the blueberries with some of the flour. So that way they don't sink to the bottom of our muffins. So I have the blueberries here. I'm just gonna take a little bit of the flour out to toss it with. And now we can start mixing again. Making a bit of a mess. I should have wrapped it in plastic wrap. Let's see. What's a go-to meal when you just want a quick meal? My go-to meal are egg sandwiches. I always keep gluten-free bread around, and then I fry up or scramble up an egg, some bacon, some avocado or tomato, depending on what I have. But that's one of my favorite go-to quick meals is an egg sandwich. And sandwiches are actually probably my favorite food too. All right, so we have our batter mixed, and we're gonna mix in the blueberries by hand. Let's see. All right, my spatula. Just trying to see if you guys have any other questions. And I'm gonna move you back over to here. My friend's gonna be so excited for the blueberry muffins. And I wish I could share them with you too, but I'll share with the recipe with you so you can make them at home if you want to. Is anyone baking anything in their time off from school, and since we have to be home? Maybe cooking dinners for your family? All right, so I have blueberries here that we've tossed in the sugar, or in the flour, and my batter here. And then I'm gonna fold it right into the batter. Oh. Another thing I forgot, I didn't mix the spices and the salt in the dry, so and combine this so the blueberries are in every little bite. Let's see. What's one piece of advice you have for CCAP students heading into the industry? Let's see, one piece of advice would be ask a lot of questions, learn from as many people as you can, because everybody has different ways of doing things, no right or wrong ways, and just soak up all the information. And you should take your job very, very seriously, but also have fun, because when you cook, you can feel, your guests can feel your emotions from your food, and you want to give them, happiness with food, because food is about sharing and connection and bringing people together. So that's what I like to put into my food, is love and yes. Sorry if that was kind of rambling. All right, now we have our muffin batter. I'm gonna scoop it into our muffins. I put the papers in there already. Let's see. Here's this. I like to leave some space between the muffins, so that way they get a nice big poofy top, and they don't touch each other when they're baking. So I'm going to do 2 scoops of batter in each one. I think Alyssa just sent in the question. Oh, Kelly, you're going to make carbonara for dinner? That sounds delicious. I want some. Anybody else? What is everybody else making for dinner? Actually, my roommate is a chef. He is the chef of Osteria restaurant in Philadelphia. He's outside right now, but I might try to call him in to come say hi to you guys too. He's been cooking some dinners for us, and we're taking turns cooking. Yesterday, he made us a little surf and turf with octopus and pork, and then some veggies on the side and rice, and it was delicious. Mike, do you want to come in and say hi to the students? Let me go grab him. Oh, never mind. He's not there. He must be upstairs. He was outside reading. Oh, so he couldn't even hear me. Sorry about that. False alarm. Is that Mike? Yay! All right, he's coming down. All right, so now I have my batter scooped in one of the muffin tins. I like to top them either a streusel or demerara sugar in the raw. It just gives it a nice sheen. Look who it is! Guest appearance by
Hello.
Chef Mike.
How's everyone?
So Osteria, if you don't know, is a fine Italian restaurant. And so Mike cooks a lot of yummy pastas and Italian food. Mike, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and your background? And
Well, I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. Started cooking right out of high school. I went to culinary school right here in Philadelphia at the restaurant school. And then I started working for Steven Starr. I worked for Jose Garces for about 4 years. Moved to New York. I just moved back from New York actually. I was up there for about 8 years. Worked for Andrew Carmelini, La Pecora Bianca. Did a lot of bouncing around and really just fell in love with Italian food and taking it back to my roots and big pasta connoisseur and
yes. Looks like 2 of our guests are making Italian food tonight. Clara is making red wine braised oxtail and porcini risotto.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Oh man, that sounds amazing. And then let's see, Kelly is making carbonara for dinner.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Awesome. Akira is making baked chicken for your family. Oh, that's sweet. They're so lucky that you're going to cook for them.
All these muffins look pretty damn good.
Thanks. Let's see. Mike, I'm going to ask you too. What's one piece of advice that you have for CCAP students heading into the industry?
Going into the industry, just take your time, learn the essentials, work clean, and just keep your eyes on the prize and learn how to make good food. Taste your food. That's the most important thing. Any chef
Taste
does.
everything.
Have to taste your food. If you don't taste it, you don't know how it's going out.
The muffins. Let's see.
And yeah.
When baking gluten-free, do you change the amounts of flour and wet ingredients if using a recipe written not gluten-free? From Lisa, the CCAP LA director. Awesome. That's a great question, Lisa. You know, I do. Because gluten-free flours tend to absorb moisture, and that's why oftentimes you'll get gluten-free baked goods that are dry or crumbly. So you do have to change around the amount of moisture and flour ratios if you're trying to convert a recipe from a standard recipe. That's why I have found, while cup for cup is great for some things, cup for cup is really great for doughs. I've noticed that it is definitely not cup for cup with every single recipe. And that's why I like to make my own blends depending upon what I am making. Let's see, another question. Here. Is baking easy for me, Mahir? No, it was a lot of baking is easy now and it's fun, but learning, it was a lot of self-study, reading, asking a lot of questions, trying to learn from all the chefs. I would watch a lot of things on TV too. I remember when I was living in New York City, the apartment building that I lived in had a gym with a treadmill on the top, so I would take my big CIA, our muffins are gonna go in the oven, CIA pastry book and read while I'm just walking on the treadmill to give me something to do. So I like to keep moving as well. Okay, my computer. It locks up a lot. Let's see. Stuart Beck just joined, and he is also a restaurant school alum. He's a Philly teacher. Oh, that's wonderful. Where do you teach, Stuart? Do you teach at the restaurant school too, or in one of our high schools? All right, well, muffins are in the oven, so I don't know how long everybody has, but hopefully they'll be done before you guys have to leave. Yeah. And Mike, what are some of your favorite things to cook?
So big fan pasta, as I was saying earlier. I like doing like low braises, like just grabbing like a whole pork shoulder, just salt, pepper, maybe a little paprika or garlic, just like slow roasted over some onions and carrots, like 8 hours, like overnight's a good way to do it. Just like a nice low oven, like 200 degrees, gets nice and moist and stays tender. That's like one of my favorite things to cook. Just like big meat stews and just slow roasting and
yum,
easy peasy.
He brought home some meats from Osteria since they had to close, so we're gonna be eating good the next couple of days.
Yeah, fridge is stocked. Hopefully
Yes,
you guys are staying safe and cooking up some good food and making the best of things.
Stuart, you were a high school teacher at George Washington High School. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see, what's the hardest part of being a chef? Long hours on your feet. I would say it's the hardest part. And also, I guess, trying to perfect things. It's never going to be perfect, but just trying to perfect things and learning everything that you can. Oh, sorry, I think my phone's on a little bit of a lag, but let's see. Mike, what do you think the hardest part about being a chef is?
I'd say like you were saying, the hours, and definitely just understanding, like, your family doesn't really understand what you're getting into, and as far as why you're not coming to see them on the weekends, or you're missing out birthdays, but you're so dedicated and just so into what you're doing, and it's just the life you kind of have to lead, and just get used to that. But you got to make the best of the time you have. Days off are precious for chefs, and utilizing your time, waking up a little earlier. I definitely am guilty of sleeping until the last second, but Monica's definitely an early bird. She's up before anyone is ever awake, and she's just reading or exercising, and that's something.
And that's another big thing, actually. I work with an organization called Cooks Who Care, and it's about changing or promoting the wellness and well-being within our industry, because a lot of the times as chefs, like Mike said, we're constantly just on the go, and we take care of everybody else, but we forget about taking care of ourselves. So that's a huge thing that I like to do. Is I wake up early. I like to read the news. I drink my coffee. It's my morning Zen time, and then I go about my day. But it's important to create those rituals for yourself. Yeah, I saw another question or something. The key here is asking so many excellent questions. Oh, that's awesome. Do you think studying recipes is important for you in the long run? Absolutely, I do. So that's basically how I learned to start creating my own recipes, was reading recipes and seeing what makes sense, how the ingredients, do they work together, and you learn the science behind it and amounts. I mean, I can read a recipe and tell you if it looks like it's not going to work because the liquid ratio is off. So keep reading recipes. I think that is an excellent question. And then eventually you can create recipes just because you know the processes and how things work together on your own. All right, other questions. And, to hydrate with a little water. And that's another big thing. A lot of the times when you're working in a fast-paced, high-volume restaurant, you forget to drink water, and should always drink a lot of water. Let's see, other questions, anybody? I don't know, Mike, what are we having for dinner tonight?
What are we having for dinner? I think I did, so I slow cooked some pork belly again overnight. This method I actually did with, kind of like a home sous vide technique, where you just take Ziploc bags and you just press all the air out, and I just marinated some pork belly with soy sauce and a little bit of sambal, which is chili and garlic paste, and just cooked it at 170 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 hours. So it's nice and tender. We're going to slice it up and kind of stir fry it with some onions and a little rice.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. How about everybody else? What else are you making for dinner? Let's see, all right. I'm going to read some of these questions. Let's see. The biggest career goal. My biggest career goal right now is that I am working on opening my own cafe. So it's a lot of work, and I don't have a space yet. That's been proven to be the hardest part, is finding the right space. But that's my biggest goal. I want to own my own shop. It looks like Alyssa's taping something. From Chef Beck, do you like prepping breads or pastry best? I love making breads. It's very therapeutic, and you have to control the time, the temperature, and just kneading bread and watching it work its magic from just flour and water and salt is really interesting, and I love learning about the process. Plus, bread dough is one of my favorite things to have in my hands. It just feels so good. Let's see. What is my biggest career goal? I just mentioned that I'm opening a shop, and let's see. Oh, Alyssa is making chicken taco bowls tonight. That sounds awesome. Alyssa's actually going to be my neighbor soon, next week. And her dog and my dog are boyfriend, girlfriend, BFFs. Let's see. What other questions do we have? What is the best piece of advice? Who inspired me to join the industry? I would say growing up, and I watched a lot of Food Network. Ming Tsai was a big one that I like to watch. Iron Chef. And then personally, my grandmother inspired me to join the industry because she used to cook and bake, and she had a garden in her backyard. So I would always go out there when I was over and rummage through there, picking the fruits and veggies out. And the one time she actually caught me eating a stalk of rhubarb straight from the ground. She explained to me why I can't do that, because there are poisonous parts of rhubarb, and decided that that was the time for me to learn how to make her famous rhubarb pie. And that's really what inspired me with my love of cooking. Mike, how about you? Who or what inspired you to join the industry?
I just spent a lot of time like growing up in Italian household, Italian American, so we're always like making meatballs and like cooking pasta for the family. So just always like it was always a niche that I was always doing, and my mom just helped my mom cook, and then my uncles when we were like barbecuing down the shore, and then it just kind of like fell into place. I had took a after school culinary class in high school, and that just kind of like sealed the deal for me, and been doing it ever since.
Aw, that's awesome. Who is your dream dinner guest? Ooh, that's a really good question, and I feel like all interview type things like to ask that, and I never really thought about it. I don't know. Who would be my dream dinner guest? How about you? Do you have one?
I'd say Nancy Silverton, definitely. She's like one of my favorite chefs. As far as like non-culinary people, maybe. I don't know. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think culinarians, Eric Repair and Michael Escamas would be my dream dinner guest.
Thanks.
Yeah, because they're fun.
Yeah.
And show them what I've learned. Let's see. What's your favorite ingredient? My music's turned off. What is your favorite ingredient? Mike, what's yours?
I just love working with flowers. There's been a big boom in artisanal like flowers, and like there's been Castle Valley Mill up in Pennsylvania has been putting out great products. They do all fresh milled flowers and like cornmeals, and really just taking it back to like tasting the wheat and like tasting everything that goes into your product, and it's been like really great to see. And
Yeah.
so much flavor potential, different kind of wheats and like different kind of like coarse ground versus fine ground, and like those applications are really something that's truly great.
What was my favorite ingredient? You gave such a good answer for that. I don't know what my favorite ingredient is. I like to try all sorts of new things. I love cardamom spice. I love putting that in everything because it just adds such a unique flavor without as long as you don't put too much in there and don't overpower it. From Yvette, our CCAP DC director. Hello, Yvette. Yvette, have you ever used the sous vide to cook these days? Yes, have you ever used the sous vide to cook these days? Definitely have. Like Mike said that he likes to do a lot of meats on sous vide. I have poached fruits. What else have I done sous vide for? Caramelized some buttermilk milk. I forget what it was, but I caramelized something sous vide. Made ice cream bases sous vide as well. Let's see. From McKee, what are your weaknesses? I think my number one weakness is that I call myself a recovering perfectionist because I'm never happy with things, and I always try to do them to get them perfect. But like I said before, nothing is going to be perfect. So learning to relax a little bit about that. Mike, what's your biggest weakness?
I'd say like I usually take too much on at once and kind of like overwhelm myself at times, but learning more to like delegate things and try not to do everything myself, because as a chef you can't. You have to rely on your team. You have to like have everyone working together, and you can't do everything yourself.
Nope, and that's
Bottom line.
that's really important, and that's what you do have a team there for, and you can train them and grow together, and yeah. Oh, here. Always. So I can't see. From Eric, what advice would you give to junior and senior chefs? I think the advice would be the same for all people starting out. Junior and senior chefs looking to go to college and get into the industry. Just keep your eyes and ears open around you and learn everything that you can, absorb it in. Yeah. You gotta rotate them. I have the oven on at 350 degrees too. Okay. Mike, what advice would you give to other chefs? Oh, that was...
Read cookbooks.
Yeah.
Read books.
Yes.
Read philosophy books. Like anything you can get your hands on. Read. Now's a good time to read because we're basically locked inside. So
You have a lot of time.
any cookbook, anything you're interested about, there's a book for it. Like just dive in, go for it, and just become a sponge.
Yes.
There's nothing you can't read about. Mm-hmm. I've learned just about as much things about just by reading than I have like just working. But you know, it's just you gotta feed the brain. That's all you gotta do.
Yep, gotta feed the brain. What's your favorite cookbook, Mike?
Ooh, that's like asking me what my favorite movie is. I'd say styles of cookbooks, like regional cuisines. Like I have like Southern Italian cookbooks. Monica actually got me the Szechuan cookbook that I love that I've been reading.
That's what he was reading this morning outside.
Yeah. So just like regional cuisines that really hone in on like certain techniques. I love just like seeing how other people do things in the world. And like as far as like spice combinations or just like cooking techniques, cooking vessels. And,
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, one of the cookbooks that or not really cookbooks, but cooking culinary books that I loved reading when I was first getting into the industry and really helped inspire me were Karen Page and Andrew Dornenberg's book, Culinary Artistry, the Flavor Bible. They have maybe like 4 or 5 different books out that I highly recommend.
Yeah.
The comments aren't working on there, so that's why I can't see them. And let's see, what would lots of people fall out of the industry because it can be difficult. What advice do you have to stay motivated and keep going when it gets hard? Let's see. A lot of people do fall out of the industry because it's difficult and restaurants easily shutter. Like right now, we don't know what's going to happen after this. After coronavirus is over, I really hope that all of the restaurants and cafes can stay open after this. But I mean, it shows exactly how easy it is for us to fail. Let's see, but what advice do you have? Let's stay motivated. Just keep your head up, stay positive. You know, you got into this for a reason because you love cooking, you love feeding people. Food is love, so we're always going to need it, and just keep that in the forefront of your mind and keep pushing. And
just like find something that you can hone in on, and just like I love reading about bread. Like I have like maybe 10 different books just about bread, and just like that's like a hobby that I like focusing on my days off, and it's just so much that you could just involve yourself into and just fall in love with.
Yeah. That's great. That is great. What would your ideal menu look like at your restaurant? Ooh, so for me, I want to do more or less of an all-day cafe, but also have the evening space for pop-up dinners or classes that I could teach, or bring other chefs in, kind of an incubator kitchen if they don't have a kitchen to use. So my ideal menu would be all the breads will be done in-house, both gluten-free and gluten-full, with a lot of the artisanal flours that Mike was talking about earlier. So breakfast sandwiches, breakfast bowls, grain bowls, salads, small plates, more comfort food, but elevated. And yeah, that would be my typical menu, or my ideal menu. A couple desserts. I'm actually not looking to do too many desserts, but cookies, maybe some muffins in the morning, or viennoiserie. Torn about whether I want to do cakes or not. Mike, what would your
special
ideal
request?
Yeah, special request cake.
As I said, I'm a pasta nut, so like having like a little pasta shop and like focaccia, just like little like corner spot where I could like just be a 60-year-old man just full of gray hair and just like making focaccia and like giving people espresso, and like that's kind of my retirement plan basically.
That sounds awesome. All right, what can you recommend for students to bake or cook while they're home during this time using ingredients at home? So I mean, it's a lot harder to be super creative with a bunch of different ingredients when you're at home, because I mean, I'm not that stocked in my home kitchen. Most of my cooking is done at the restaurants and places where I've worked that are stocked up. But you can make all sorts of things using whatever you have. You can try new flavor combinations of spices, or I don't know, something that you wouldn't think would pair together. Try to make it work. Let's see. I mean, I'm making muffins. What else do I have on my list? Making biscuits.
Doing biscuits, soups are great.
Oh yeah, soup. We made some soups.
Yeah, just something homey like
casseroles. I love a good casserole.
Yeah.
With the burnt edges.
Potatoes.
Yes.
Potatoes. You could cook potatoes about 100 different ways. Like,
yeah, just
there
try
are
to
books just on potatoes. Just buy a potato book, and be just one recipe a day.
yeah, that's a great idea. Do one recipe from a cookbook a day. Do you ever do any baking for Passover? No, I haven't really done that much baking for Passover. I have made matzah before, and flourless chocolate cakes for Passover. I'm trying to think. Almonds I've done. Oh, the coconut macarons and almond macarons I've made for Passover. But that's probably about it. Oh, actually, a flourless black forest cake I've made for Passover before as well.
Love one.
But there are all sorts of ways you can get creative with your time at home right now. I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm going to make gluten-free bagels. That's another one on the list.
That's just going to lead to more breakfast sandwiches.
More breakfast sandwiches. Fry up an egg, and my favorite thing. That's my dog. He's the guard dog of the neighborhood. He likes to sit on the couch and watch out the windows for people to walk by. What have you done to improve your skills in the last year? What have I done to improve my skills in the last year? That's a great question. Read a lot. Keep practicing. Do things out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's really, and just write things down too. That's
a
another
good idea.
thing. Like,
always write things down because you'll forget about it.
Just even like if it's on your note app on your phone, like I just have different pages of just like ideas or just like things that work, things that don't work. Most of the time, like I've learned a lot more about what not to do versus what to do in my career. So,
and that's also something very important. What you can always take away from whatever job or whoever you're learning from, whether it's the things that you learn from them and can grow with. It's also about things that you
what not to do.
What not to do.
What not to do.
We all go through that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Not used to talking for this long. And the muffins should hopefully be done soon. Almost. So you can at least see them. And like Emerald says, I wish I had smell-o-vision so you can smell this.
I might eat all that batter before the day's up.
Let's see. I can pull up the other questions. Not this one. I always like to cook with music on too. It sets the mood. All right. I don't know. Any other questions, anybody? Or let's see. Maybe. So we know what some of you are cooking for dinner. What other ways have you been using your time now that we're off? Let's see. Trying to think of a question for you, Mike.
Ooh.
utensil do most people not have, but you highly recommend it's a need? All right, what kitchen utensil do most people not have, but you highly recommend is a need?
I'd say fine strainers
Yes.
is a good one.
Show them that.
These are great. If you're just like making stocks or you're making sausage at home, like
Get a little one too.
yeah, little ones, tiny ones, like a fine mesh strainer if you're making like a puree of like vegetables, like just pass it through the sieve and it'll get nice and velvety.
Also, this is one of my favorite tools, the mini offset spatula.
Spatulas are phenomenal.
Most people don't have this at home. I know you probably do in your kitchens, but not necessarily your home kitchen. Let's see, have you ever studied your craft? Have you ever studied your craft in a different country? I have. I was actually invited to go to the Valrhona Chocolate School in Tain de l'Hermitage, France. So I went for a week there and learned all about chocolate and how to do bonbons and molded chocolates and truffles. How about you, Mike?
I haven't really studied. We in culinary school we took a trip to France for a week, like right before we graduated. So that was a blast, and we just toured different wine vineyards, and then we spent our last day in Paris, and that was a really great eye opener for me.
Oh,
those muffins are smelling great.
Thanks. Yeah. Put them in for another 10 minutes. So, Alyssa, how much time do we have on here, or what's? Yeah, Alyssa, how much time do we have on here? Because I don't know how much. Ah, Alyssa studied at the Valrhona School too. That's amazing. I had such a great experience there. And eating all across France. I studied abroad when I went to Penn State. I studied abroad in Marseille, France as well. So I minored in French. And I used to love to go to the patisseries and the boulangeries and just grab all the snacks there. A baguette with butter and ham, delicious.
Jambon bears.
Yes, travel as much as you can to learn all about the different cuisines. All right. Do you guys have any other questions for us? I'm running out of things to say. But I'll show you the muffins so you can at least see them in the oven. And you know what? I'll send Alyssa the recipe so she can post it online so you guys can try making them yourselves if you want. Oh, all right. Unless anybody has any other questions, I think we're going to sign off because I don't know what else to say about myself. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, Mike, for joining me in the kitchen. I hope you guys can make some blueberry muffins and delicious things and enjoy all the other Meet the Chefs around. Oh, right, Mr. Duke. All right, Mike's gonna go grab Mr. Duke, and you guys can meet my little baby.
He might be able to.
Oh, is he? He's a little feisty one.
It's okay, Bobby.
Hey, come here, bud. Come here.
Yeah.
Come here. Come here. I got you. Excuse me. He's in his gremlin mood right now, but this is him. Say hi, Mr. Duke. No? That's my little baby. Yep, he's in his gremlin mood. So on social media, I am at Chef Moni, ChefMoni, and Mike.
My handle is, hold on, pull that up. Mike Mateo, MICK MATTEO 87 on Instagram.
Follow us and you can see all the fun that we're having together to try to lighten the mood right now and all the good things that we're cooking.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was cute.